We've all been there, right? You're in the middle of a day, everything seems to be going okay. And then boom, someone says something that pushes your buttons. Maybe it's a comment that's not even directed at you, but it gets under your skin. Maybe it's someone being rude, insensitive, or just plain disrespectful. It happens to all of us. But here's the thing, I want to share something with you. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to let that person or that situation ruin your day. Do you see, in life, people can throw all kinds of stuff at us, words, actions, attitudes. And most of the time, we're the ones who decide how it impacts us. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to get caught up, to react in a way that makes you feel bad afterward. But when you have control over your emotions, when you've mastered your inner peace, you've already won. This isn't some abstract idea. This is a skill you can develop, and once you do, you'll see how it can change your entire perspective. The truth is, anger doesn't serve you. It doesn't help you grow. It doesn't get you closer to your goals or help you build meaningful relationships. Anger just wastes energy. Think about it. When you get angry, you're giving away your peace to someone else. You're letting them control how you feel, even though you don't have to. It's like letting someone else take the wheel of your car. You're no longer in control of where you're going. Now let me share something I've learned. And trust me, this is something I practice daily. It's all about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence isn't just a fancy term, it's about understanding your emotions, recognizing what triggers them, and choosing how to respond. It's about knowing that you're in charge of your feelings, not the other person, not the situation. You take a moment to think about a time when you got upset over something small. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic or said something offhand. How much energy did you waste being angry? How much of your time was spent in that emotional state, just feeding the anger instead of letting it go? And how much did it affect your day? I'll be honest, it's not always easy. It takes work. But imagine for a second how much better you'd feel if you didn't let those little things bother you. If you could just let it slide off your back like water off a duck. Because let's face it, most of the time, the things that make us angry don't even matter in the grand scheme of life. In a way, practicing anger management is like training for a race. You don't wake up one morning and decide to run a marathon without preparation. You have to build up your emotional muscles. And each time you resist the urge to snap, each time you choose to stay calm, you're getting stronger. I'm not saying you should suppress your emotions. You don't have to bottle up your anger and pretend it's not there. What I'm saying is, don't let it take over. Don't let it control you. You get to decide how much power you give to any situation or person. When you learn to master your emotions, that's when you truly unlock your power. And trust me, it's one of the best feelings in the world. When you've reached that point, you realize that you're no longer a prisoner to your anger. You've become a master of it. I want you to stick around because what I'm about to share in the next few moments is something that can change your perspective on everything. We're going to dive into how you can actively train your mind to let go of anger, how you can step into a state of peace no matter what's going on around you. This is something everyone can learn to do. And when you do, life starts to feel a whole lot lighter. Now, let's talk about something really powerful, this idea of emotional intelligence and how it can change the way you live. Think of it like a superpower you never knew you had. I'm not talking about some deep philosophical idea you read in a book. I'm talking about something real, something practical that you can use in your life. Right now, every day. You've probably heard the phrase, you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. I know it sounds a bit like a cliché, right? But here's the thing, there's a lot of truth in that. Most people think they're at the mercy of their emotions. They think they just react to what's going on around them, but that's a myth. You are the one in control. You can choose how you react to anything, even when things seem completely out of your control. Let me give you a little insight into how I approach this. When I was younger, I used to think that if someone said something hurtful or if something went wrong, I had the right to get upset. It was like my default setting. But over time, I realized something: getting upset, losing my temper, getting angry, it didn't solve anything. It didn't change the situation, and it sure didn't help my state of mind. In fact, it made things worse. When I allowed myself to get angry, I was giving that person or that situation more power than it deserved. You see, when you respond to a situation with anger or frustration, you're telling yourself that you've lost control. You've handed over your peace, and now you're reacting instead of responding. And reacting from a place of anger rarely leads to anything good. Trust me, I've been there. But here's the key: I learned that emotional intelligence isn't just about controlling your anger. It's about knowing when to step back, take a breath, and understand what's really happening. So many times, we get upset because we misinterpret what's going on. Someone cuts us off in traffic, and we immediately think they're being rude. Someone says something offhand, and we assume they're attacking us. But in reality, we don't know their story. We don't know what they're dealing with. And when we take everything personally, we're setting ourselves up for anger. Emotional intelligence teaches you to pause and recognize your triggers. What makes you angry? What makes you feel disrespected? Once you know what those triggers are, you can start to train yourself to respond differently. When something happens, you don't have to jump into the fight or flight mode. You can choose to step back, to breathe, and to evaluate what's really going on. Is it worth your time? Is it worth your energy? More often than not, the answer is no. Let me tell you something else that's helped me tremendously: Stoicism. Now, I know some people hear the word and think it's all about being emotional or detached, but that's not it at all. Stoicism is about accepting what you can't control and focusing on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. It's about realizing that life is full of challenges, but how you respond to those challenges is what really matters. You've probably heard some famous Stoicism quotes, like it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's the essence of it right there. It's all about perspective, the ability to step outside the situation and say, this might be difficult, but I choose how I respond. Imagine if you had that mindset in every situation. How powerful would that be? Here's something I want you to think about for a second. Look at some of the most successful and peaceful people you know. Think about people who seem like they're always calm, no matter what's happening around them. These are the people who have mastered their emotional intelligence. They've learned to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. And guess what? They don't let anything, no person, no situation bother them. In fact, I want to share an example that might surprise you. Think about someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's a huge personality, right? People love him because he's positive, he's optimistic, and he doesn't let the negativity or drama in the world get to him. But here's the thing: he's faced a lot of tough situations in life. He's had his fair share of failures, criticism, and challenges. What makes him stand out is how he handles it all. He doesn't react in anger. Instead, he chooses to stay focused on what he can control: his mindset, his actions, his positivity. And that's exactly what emotional intelligence gives you. It gives you the power to rise above. It teaches you to be the bigger person, even when someone else is acting out. When you're not moved by the things that used to trigger you, you create a new kind of freedom. You're not living in reaction mode, you're living in creation mode. Here's a little exercise I want you to try. The next time you feel yourself getting angry or frustrated, take a step back and ask yourself these 3 questions. What is person or situation really trying to teach me? Is this something I can control, or is it outside of my control? How do I want to feel in this moment? I'd actually choose to feel that way. When you ask yourself these questions, you'll start to realize that most of the time, the anger is just a reaction to your own thoughts. You don't have to stay angry. You don't have to let someone else's behavior determine your mood. You can choose to stay calm, stay focused, and keep moving forward. But don't just take my word for it, try it for yourself. Start practicing emotional intelligence every day. It's not about being perfect, it's about progress. The more you practice, the stronger you'll get. And over time, you'll realize that nothing can shake your peace. You'll be unbothered by the things that used to set you off, and you'll be able to maintain your calm no matter what life throws your way. In the next part of this video, I'm going to dive even deeper into how you can stay in control of your emotions and avoid letting external situations disturb your peace. So stick with me, because what I'm about to share will give you the tools to create an unshakable foundation of calm and focus. Now, let's dive even deeper into the real power of emotional intelligence and how you can start applying it to your life on a daily basis. I want you to think of emotional intelligence like a muscle. The more you work on it, the stronger it gets. It's not something that just happens overnight. It takes consistent effort, but the rewards are worth it. And believe me, when you master your emotions, when you can stay calm and composed in any situation, life becomes so much easier. Let's talk about one of the biggest challenges we all face: getting upset when things don't go the way we expect. Whether it's a delay in your plans, a missed opportunity, or someone letting you down, the natural reaction is frustration. But here's the thing: the ability to stay calm and stay grounded in those moments is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. One of the most powerful practices I've learned is the art of staying present. When things aren't going as planned, it's easy to let your mind wander into negative territory. You start thinking about everything that's going wrong and imagining all the worst-case scenarios. But what if you just took a step back in that moment? What if you didn't get lost in the story your mind was trying to tell you? What if you simply focused on the present moment, right here and right now? That's what emotional intelligence is really about: choosing your response in the present moment, instead of reacting based on your past experiences or fears of what might happen in the future. When you stay present, you take away the power of the situation to control your emotions. You take a breath, pause, and decide how you want to feel. And the more you practice this, the easier it gets. But of course, staying calm in the face of adversity isn't always simple. There are going to be moments when your emotions feel overwhelming. When someone says something that hits a nerve, or when life throws something your way that feels unfair. It's natural to feel anger or frustration in those moments. But what's important is how you handle that feeling. The difference between letting it control you and choosing to stay in control of yourself is what makes all the difference. I've been in situations where I could have easily let anger take over. I've had people in my life who have done me wrong, people who didn't see eye to eye with me, or people who were flat out disrespectful. And in the past, my first instinct might have been to lash out, to defend myself, to prove I was right. But over time, I've learned that those kinds of reactions never get you anywhere. They don't solve the problem, they only create more chaos. Instead, I chose to take a different approach. I chose to respond with understanding, with patience, and with emotional intelligence. That doesn't mean I was perfect or that I never felt the anger bubbling up inside me. It just means I learned how to control it. Instead of letting it control me, I took a moment to pause, to breathe, and to choose a different path. Now, let's get into the practical steps. If you want to stop getting angry or bothered by people or situations, you've got to start developing certain habits. These are habits that will help you stay calm no matter what. They'll help you take your emotional intelligence to the next level. And when you start incorporating these habits into your life, you'll see immediate changes. First, practice gratitude. This might sound simple, but trust me, it's one of the most powerful tools you have in your emotional toolkit. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's right. When you start your day by listing a few things you're thankful for, you set a positive tone for the rest of your day. And when something happens that could trigger anger or frustration, you'll be more likely to respond with a sense of gratitude instead of getting upset. Second, take ownership of your feelings. I want you to understand that no one can make you feel anything without your permission. Yes, people can say things that are hurtful, and situations can be challenging, but how you choose to feel in those moments is entirely up to you. When you take ownership of your emotions, you stop blaming others for how you feel. You take your power back. Another important habit is self-reflection. Take a moment each day to reflect on your emotions. When did you feel triggered? When did you get upset? And why? Was it something someone said? Was it a personal insecurity? Self-reflection helps you understand the root cause of your emotions. And the more you understand, the better you can manage them. Now let's talk about the power of silence. When you feel anger rising up, sometimes the best thing you can do is stay silent. You don't have to react right away. You don't have to say anything. You can take a moment, step back, and decide how you want to handle the situation. I've been in so many moments where silence has been my greatest ally. When you don't respond immediately, you give yourself space to think, you allow your emotions to settle, and you make sure that what you say is coming from a place of clarity and calm, not from a place of anger. You also need to change your perspective on conflict. Not every disagreement has to end in a confrontation. In fact, many times it's better to let go of the need to be right. The more you can let go of the need to prove your point, the less power you give to anger. When you're open to seeing things from the other person's point of view, you create space for understanding instead of animosity. And in that space, there's peace. Another thing I've learned is the importance of self-care. When you're taking care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, you're less likely to get triggered by the little things. Self-care isn't just about pampering yourself, it's about making sure you're in the best state possible to handle life's challenges. So whether it's exercising, meditating, or just spending time with people who lift you up, make sure you're nurturing yourself. I know it's easy to say don't get angry, but when you don't have these tools in place, it can feel impossible. But I want you to trust me on this. With practice, you can change how you react to the world. You don't have to stay angry. You don't have to let people or situations disturb your peace. You can choose a better way. You can choose calm. In the next part of this video, we're going to get into some advanced strategies for managing your emotions and staying in control when life throws its curveballs. Stick around because what I'm about to share is going to take your emotional intelligence to the next level. Now, let's go even deeper into the power of emotional intelligence. Remember, we're building the foundation for a life where you don't let things bother you, where you're not constantly reacting to the chaos around you. And this doesn't happen just because you hope for it, it happens because you make it happen. At the core of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. You need to truly understand yourself, the way you think, the way you feel, and why you react the way you do. So many of us go through life unaware of how our emotions govern us. We allow the external world to dictate how we feel, but emotional intelligence teaches you that you are the one who gets to decide how you feel. You don't have to let your emotions be on autopilot, reacting to everything that comes your way. You can take control, and when you do, you'll see just how empowering it is. Think of it like this. If you're in a situation where someone cuts you off in traffic, the old you might have reacted with immediate anger. You might have yelled at them, honked your horn, or even let that anger carry with you for hours, letting it ruin your day. But now, with emotional intelligence, you can pause for a moment. You can choose not to let that moment control you. The question is, how badly do you want peace? How much do you value your inner tranquility? That brings me to another powerful tool, Mittenfulsons. Mittenfulsons is about being in the present moment, focused, aware, and conscious of your thoughts and feelings. When you practice Mittenfulsons, you start to notice when you're getting triggered. You begin to recognize the early signs of frustration or anger, and when you catch them early, you have the power to diffuse them before they spiral. The more you practice Mittenfulsons, the more you'll notice those subtle shifts in your emotions, and the quicker you can get back to your center. One technique I personally use is what I call the pause and breathe method. Let me tell you, this is a game changer. Whenever I feel that sense of irritation or anger rising up, I force myself to pause. I literally take a deep breath, hold it for a few seconds, and then slowly release it. In those few moments, something magical happens. The anger loses its grip. It's like I'm hitting the reset button in my mind. That brief pause allows me to think clearly and make a conscious choice about how I'm going to respond. And here's the key: taking that moment to breathe doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. The stronger you get at this, the less you'll need to act out of frustration or impatience. You'll realize that nothing is as urgent as it seems. When you're able to pause, to breathe, to check in with yourself, you give yourself the space to choose how you want to respond, and how you want to respond, and how you want to interact with the world. But here's something else that's important. You've got to embrace discomfort. Let's face it, life isn't comfortable. People will disappoint you, situations will frustrate you, and things will go wrong. It's part of the deal. But the more you can learn to embrace discomfort without letting it control your emotions, the stronger you'll become. Anger often comes from a place of feeling disrespected, feeling misunderstood, or feeling helpless. But what if you could accept discomfort instead of reacting to it? Imagine being able to sit with discomfort without letting it ruin your day. Imagine looking at a challenging situation and saying, okay, this is uncomfortable, but I can handle it. When you're able to tolerate discomfort and not react immediately, you stop the cycle of anger. You stop giving power to situations or people who are just trying to provoke you. You learn to stand firm in your own peace. Let's also talk about self-talk. This is such a critical part of emotional intelligence. How you speak to yourself shapes your emotional world. When you get upset, your inner dialogue can either escalate the situation or de-escalate it. The words you say to yourself in those moments matter. If you're saying things like, I can't believe this is happening, this isn't fair, this is ridiculous, you're fueling your anger. But if you pause and say, this situation doesn't define me, I'm in control, this too shall pass, you're taking your power back. I've learned it over time that the stories we tell ourselves are incredibly powerful. When you change the narrative in your head, you change the emotions that follow. It's all about shifting your perspective. Instead of saying, this person is being a jerk, try saying, maybe they're having a rough day, maybe they don't even realize they're upsetting me. When you give people the benefit of the doubt, you let go of the anger and free yourself from carrying that negative energy. Another key aspect of emotional intelligence is empathy. I know it's easy to get wrapped up in your own world and forget that other people have their own struggles. But when you start practicing empathy, you realize that everyone is carrying their own weight. People who seem rude, distant, or inconsiderate may be struggling with something you don't even know about. When you approach situations with empathy, you begin to understand that their behavior isn't a personal attack on you, it's simply a reflection of where they are in their own journey. And that brings me to a powerful truth. You can't control other people's behavior, but you can control how you respond. No matter what someone else says or does, you are the one who decides how you feel. When you're grounded in emotional intelligence, you stop letting other people's behavior define your emotions. Their actions no longer trigger you, their words no longer affect you. You've built a wall of emotional resilience that keeps you safe and at peace. Let me also share something else that's been incredibly helpful in my journey toward emotional mastery, the 24-hour rule. This rule has been a game changer. Whenever something happens that really bothers you, make a deal with yourself. Give it 24 hours. Let yourself cool off, let the initial anger subside, and wait before you respond. During this time, reflect on the situation. Is it really worth getting upset over? Will it matter a week from now, a month from now? Chances are, most of the things that upset us in the moment don't even matter in the grand scheme of things. What this 24-hour rule does is create a buffer between your initial emotional reaction and your more rational, thoughtful response. When you give yourself time to process, you gain perspective. You realize that life is too short to sweat the small stuff, and you're not going to waste your energy on things that don't serve you. And remember, it's not about being perfect. We all get angry. We all have moments when we want to scream or lose our cool. The difference is not in avoiding anger entirely, it's in how quickly you can get back to your center. It's in how quickly you can shift from anger to peace, from frustration to understanding. The more you practice, the easier it gets. In the next part of this video, we'll take these tools and dive deeper into how to use them in real-life situations. How to use these strategies when dealing with difficult people, stressful situations, and life's unexpected challenges. But for now, I want you to start implementing these habits. Start practicing mindfulness, self-awareness, and empathy. Start pausing before reacting and choose your responses intentionally. The more you do this, the less you'll find yourself bothered by anything or anyone, and the more at peace you'll be. Now, let's continue building on this journey of mastering your emotions. We've talked about emotional intelligence, mindfulness, and taking ownership of your feelings. But I want to dig deeper into something that's going to change the way you see the world: detachment. I know, detachment sounds like a strange word when we're talking about anger management and emotional control. But let me explain. Detachment is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's not about ignoring your emotions or pretending you don't care. What detachment really means is learning to let go of the need to control things that are beyond your control. Think about it. How often do we get upset because things don't go our way? How many times do we get angry when people don't behave the way we expect them to? The truth is, we can't control other people. We can't control the traffic, the weather, or the actions of strangers. We can't control the past or predict the future, but we can control how we respond to these things. Let's say you've had a tough day at work. Maybe you were expecting a promotion and it didn't happen. Maybe you've been working your tail off and you feel like no one is noticing. It's easy to feel disappointed, even angry when things don't go the way you expect. But when you practice detachment, you realize that the only thing you have power over is your own response. You can choose to let this situation bother you, or you can choose to see it for what it is: a temporary setback, a small obstacle in the grand scheme of your journey. The key to detachment is learning not to take things personally. I've had to do this countless times in my life. People will criticize you. They'll say things about you that aren't true. They'll misunderstand you, and it hurts. Don't get me wrong. But I've learned that their actions are not a reflection of me. They are a reflection of where they are in their own lives. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, I had an encounter with someone who, out of nowhere, began criticizing me and spreading rumors. At first, I was furious. I felt like I needed to defend myself to set the record straight. But I took a step back and remembered this principle of detachment. I realized that their opinions didn't define me. Their actions were their problem, not mine. What I chose to do in that moment was to stay focused on my goals and not let their negativity distract me. And let me tell you, it was freeing. When you detach from other people's opinions and behaviors, you free yourself from the emotional weight that comes with trying to control everything. You no longer feel like you have to prove anything to anyone. You no longer feel the need to respond to every insult or every slight. You're able to keep your peace and stay on your path, regardless of what anyone else says. But detachment doesn't just apply to others. It also applies to your own expectations. We get angry when things don't go the way we want them to, when the world doesn't operate the way we think it should. But life doesn't follow your script, and that's okay. I've had many moments where I thought I knew exactly how things were supposed to unfold, only to find that life had a completely different plan. And you know what? That's okay too. You see, detachment helps you release the grip on your expectations. It doesn't mean you stop dreaming, stop setting goals, or stop striving for the things you want. It simply means that you understand things might not always unfold the way you expect, and that's a part of the journey. Sometimes the best things in life happen when we let go of our rigid expectations and allow ourselves to flow with what life gives us. Life is constantly changing, and when you stop fighting that, you stop getting frustrated by it. When you practice detachment, you also practice acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or settling. It means embracing things as they are. It means understanding that some things are simply out of your control and finding peace with that. It's about being okay with what is, even if it's not what you hoped for. Because when you learn to accept things as they are, you stop wasting energy fighting against them. Now, let's talk about a powerful mindset shift that I found to be incredibly helpful in anger management, the Stoic perspective. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches us to focus only on the things we can control and let go of the things we can't. In fact, one of the core tenets of Stoicism is to live in harmony with nature and accept the natural course of events. That means accepting life's ups and downs without letting them disrupt your peace of mind. The Stoics teach us that anger arises when we're attached to an outcome or a belief. For example, you might feel angry because you believe you should have been treated better by someone, or because you think life should have unfolded differently. But the Stoics remind us that the only thing we can control is our response. And when we choose to let go of that attachment, we choose peace over anger. One of my favorite Stoic quotes is from Marcus Aurelius, who said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of what we're talking about here. When you realize that you have power over how you respond to the world, you stop letting the world control your emotions. You start taking back your peace, and you stop reacting to everything that doesn't go your way. Another important concept from Stoicism is the idea of viewing obstacles as opportunities. Think about it. Every time you encounter a situation that makes you angry, you're being given an opportunity to grow. Anger is a natural human response, but it doesn't have to control you. When you start viewing challenges as chances to practice patience, understanding, and emotional intelligence, you'll find that life becomes less frustrating and more fulfilling. You see, the more you practice Stoicism, the more you realize that the things you thought were obstacles are actually lessons. Every time someone cuts you off in traffic, every time a situation doesn't go the way you plan, it's an opportunity to practice emotional control. And the more you practice, the stronger you get. Another powerful to manage anger is developing an optimistic mindset. Optimism doesn't mean ignoring the challenges in your life. It means choosing to focus on the positives, even in the midst of difficulty. Optimism helps you see the bigger picture. It reminds you that no matter how bad things might seem in the moment, they're only temporary. Life is constantly evolving, and things can and often do get better. An optimistic mindset helps you turn every setback into a setup for a comeback. I've learned that choosing optimism doesn't just help you feel better, it actually empowers you to take control of your emotions. Instead of reacting with anger, you begin to respond with hope. You begin to see the silver lining in every situation, and that makes all the difference in the world. So, in summary, if you want to stop getting angry or bothered by anyone, you need to practice detachment, acceptance, stoicism, and optimism. These are the tools that will help you take control of your emotions, stop reacting to life's challenges, and find peace in every moment. And the best part is, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. The more you make these habits a part of your life, the less you'll find yourself bothered by anything or anyone. In the next part, I'm going to dive into even more practical steps and strategies that will help you master your emotions and stay calm in even the most challenging situations. Stick around because the journey to emotional mastery is just getting started. By now, you've learned some powerful tools for controlling your emotions and staying calm in the face of adversity. But there's one final, crucial step in this journey that I want to dive deep into: the power of forgiveness. I know forgiveness is one of those things that sounds easier said than done, right? When someone hurts us, our natural response is often to hold onto that hurt, to let it simmer, to carry it like a weight on our shoulders. But what if I told you that holding onto anger and resentment only hurts you, not the person who hurt you? Let's get real for a second. Forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of anger, bitterness, and frustration. It's about choosing peace over pain. When you hold on to resentment, you're giving power to someone else. You're letting their actions dictate how you feel, and that's the opposite of emotional control. But here's the thing: forgiveness doesn't mean you're excusing the other person's behavior. It doesn't mean you're saying that what they did was okay. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the emotional burden of that hurt. It's about letting go of the past so you can move forward with your life, unburdened and free. I've had my own struggles with forgiveness. There have been times in my life when people have wronged me in ways that felt unforgivable. People have betrayed me, criticized me, or hurt me in deep ways. And for a while, I held on to that anger. I thought that if I held on to it long enough, it would somehow make me feel better. But all it did was weigh me down. It kept me stuck in the past, in a loop of negativity and pain. It wasn't until I realized that forgiving them wasn't about them, it was about me, that I truly started to find peace. When you forgive someone, you're choosing to let go of the anger, the disappointment, and the frustration that come with holding on to that hurt. You're choosing to stop allowing their actions to have power over your emotions. And let me tell you, once you make that decision, you'll feel lighter. You'll feel like a burden has been lifted off your shoulders. Now, forgiveness isn't always easy. It's not something you can just decide to do overnight. But here's what I've learned: forgiveness is a practice. It's something you have to actively work on every single day. Some days will be harder than others, but as you practice, you'll get better at it. And the more you forgive, the less anger you'll carry around, and the more peace you'll feel. Another important aspect of emotional control is creating boundaries. Boundaries aren't just about protecting yourself from other people, they're also about protecting your emotional well-being. Sometimes the reason we get upset or angry is because we allow others to cross our boundaries. We let them push our buttons, disrespect us, or take advantage of our kindness. Setting clear, healthy boundaries is a key part of maintaining emotional peace. This means learning to say no when something doesn't serve you, learning to walk away when a situation becomes toxic, and learning to stand up for yourself when someone tries to disrespect you. Boundaries are not about building walls. They're about creating a space where you feel safe, respected, and valued. One of the most powerful things you can do for your emotional well-being is surround yourself with positive, supportive people. The energy of the people around you can have a huge impact on your own emotional state. If you're constantly around people who are negative, critical, or draining, it will be much harder to stay calm and composed. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who uplift you, inspire you, and support you, you'll naturally start to feel more at peace. But here's the thing, you have to be proactive about your relationships. You can't just wait for people to come into your life. You have to actively seek out the kind of energy you want to be surrounded by. This means making a conscious decision to spend more time with people who make you feel good and less time with people who bring negativity into your life. In addition to surrounding yourself with positive people, it's also important to take care of your physical health. I know this might sound like a random piece of advice when we're talking about emotional control, but trust me, your body and mind are connected. When you're physically healthy, you're in a much better place to manage your emotions. Exercise is one of the most effective ways to release built-up tension and frustration. When you're feeling angry or irritated, going for a run or hitting the gym can work wonders for your mood. It releases endorphins, which are your body's natural mood boosters. It also gives you a chance to clear your mind and release any pent-up stress. Sleep is another critical piece of the puzzle. When you don't get enough sleep, your emotions become more volatile. You're more likely to snap at people, get frustrated, or feel overwhelmed. But when you get a full night's rest, you wake up with a clearer, more positive mindset. So make sure you're prioritizing your physical health. It will pay off in ways you can't even imagine. But even with all of these tools and strategies, there will be times when life still throws you curveballs. There will be days when someone cuts you off in traffic, when a colleague undermines your work, or when someone you love hurts you. And in those moments, it's important to remember you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. At the end of the day, emotional control is about taking ownership of your reactions. It's about choosing peace over chaos, calm over anger, and love over fear. It's about recognizing that your emotions don't have to control you, that you have the power to choose how you feel, no matter what's happening around you. So, as we move into the final part of this journey, I want you to reflect on everything we've discussed so far. Take a moment to think about how you can begin to implement these strategies in your own life. Start by practicing mindfulness, setting boundaries, and embracing forgiveness. Surround yourself with positivity and take care of your body. And most importantly, remember that you are in control of your own emotions. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to stay calm and composed, no matter what life throws your way. You've got this. We've covered a lot of ground so far, from emotional intelligence to detachment, from the power of forgiveness to setting boundaries, and from embracing optimism to taking care of your body. But there's one final element that ties everything together, and it's something that will make all the difference in your journey to mastering your emotions mindset. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Your mindset shapes your reality. The way you see the world directly influences how you feel about it. And if you want to stop getting angry or bothered by people or situations, you have to adopt a mindset that allows you to remain calm, centered, and peaceful no matter what happens. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is to move from a victim mindset to a growth mindset. The victim mindset is the one that tells you that things are happening to you, that life isn't fair, and that you're powerless in the face of adversity. This mindset breeds anger, frustration, and helplessness because you're always focused on the things you can't control. On the other hand, the growth mindset is the belief that challenges are opportunities for growth, that you are not a victim of your circumstances, and that you can learn from every experience, no matter how difficult it may seem. A growth mindset empowers you to take control of your emotions and choose how to respond to any situation. This mindset shift is not just about changing the way you think, it's about changing the way you perceive life. When you start viewing challenges as opportunities to grow, you begin to see anger, frustration, and other negative emotions as signals. They're signals that something needs your attention, that there's something you need to learn or a change. I remember a time when I faced a major challenge in my career. It was one of those moments where everything felt like it was falling apart. People doubted me, opportunities slipped away, and I could have easily let it all get to me. But instead of getting angry or frustrated, I decided to look at the situation through the lens of a growth mindset. I asked myself, what can I learn from this? What is this situation teaching me? And instead of focusing on what I had lost, I focused on what I could gain. I used that moment as fuel to push myself harder, to improve my skills, and to become a better version of myself. That mindset shift didn't just help me get through that tough time, it helped me come out of it stronger, wiser, and more resilient than I had ever been before. And that's the power of a growth mindset. It turns obstacles into opportunities, failures into lessons, and setbacks into comebacks. When you adopt this mindset, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of life circumstances. Instead, you start seeing yourself as the creator of your own reality, capable of navigating any challenge that comes your way. But let's take it a step further. Let's talk about reframing. Reframing is a technique where you change the way you perceive a situation in order to change how it makes you feel. It's one of the most effective tools I've used to stop myself from getting angry or bothered by anything. When you reframe a situation, you take the power away from the negative emotions and shift your focus to something more empowering. For example, let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. The typical reaction would be to get angry, to start honking your horn, or to curse under your breath. But what if you reframed that situation? What if instead of getting angry, you chose to see that moment as an opportunity to practice patience? What if you viewed that person as someone who is probably in a hurry or maybe having a bad day, and instead of taking it personally, you simply let it go? That's the power of reframing. It's about changing the way you interpret the events in your life so that they no longer have the power to upset you. When you start reframing situations, you'll find that your anger and frustration begin to dissipate. You realize that you don't have to be at the mercy of your emotions. You have the power to choose how you react. Another key element of emotional control is self-awareness. You've heard the saying, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Well, the same applies to your emotions. If you want to stop getting angry or bothered, you first have to become aware of your emotional triggers. What are the things that set you off? What are the situations or people that cause you to lose your cool? Once you identify your emotional triggers, you can start to work on them. You can begin to build strategies for dealing with those situations in a calm, controlled way. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence because it allows you to recognize when your emotions are starting to take over and gives you the opportunity to make a conscious decision to respond differently. For example, maybe you know that you tend to get angry when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Once you're aware of that trigger, you can take steps to manage your stress before it escalates into anger. You might practice deep breathing, take a break, or engage in a calming activity like meditation or yoga. The more you practice self-awareness, the better you'll become at managing your emotions before they spiral out of control. Another important aspect of emotional control is practice. Just like anything else in life, emotional mastery is a skill that requires practice. You're not going to wake up one day and magically stop getting angry or bothered by people. It's something you have to work on, but the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Every time you catch yourself getting angry, frustrated, or upset, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, how can I respond differently? It may be difficult at first, but the more you practice responding with calmness and clarity, the more natural it will become. And now, let's talk about something that's going to really elevate your emotional intelligence, the power of empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, and it's one of the most important tools in managing your emotions. When you can empathize with others, you stop seeing them as adversaries or people who are trying to make your life difficult. Instead, you begin to see them as fellow human beings who are going through their own struggles. Think about it. When someone cuts you off in traffic, it's easy to get angry. But what if, instead of getting angry, you try to understand what might be going on with that person? Maybe they're rushing to an emergency, maybe they're distracted or stressed, or maybe they simply made a mistake. When you empathize with others, you're able to let go of your anger because you recognize that their actions are not necessarily personal, they're just part of the human experience. Empathy is a game changer when it comes to emotional control. It allows you to shift your focus from your own frustrations to a deeper understanding of the other person's perspective. And the more you practice empathy, the more at peace you'll feel because you'll realize that everyone is just doing their best with the tools they have. And finally, let's talk about gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions you can cultivate, and it has a profound impact on your overall well-being. When you practice gratitude, you shift your focus away from what's going wrong in your life and towards what's going right. It's hard to be angry or upset when you're focused on the things you're grateful for. Start each day by listing 3 things you're thankful for, no matter how small. This simple practice will train your mind to focus on the positive aspects of your life and help you stay grounded, even in challenging situations. When you make gratitude a part of your daily routine, you'll find that your emotional state becomes more stable, more positive, and more resilient. With all of these tools in your emotional toolkit, you'll be well on your way to mastering your emotions and never letting anyone or anything bother you again. But remember, emotional mastery is a journey, not a destination. It's something you have to practice every day. The more you practice, the better you'll get. So keep going, keep growing, and keep choosing peace. As we approach the final steps of this journey to emotional mastery, I want you to think about how all of these tools and strategies fit together. When you look at everything we've discussed so far, emotional intelligence, forgiveness, growth mindset, reframing, empathy, gratitude, and self-awareness, you can see that they are all pieces of the same puzzle. They're all about shifting your mindset and taking control of your emotions rather than letting them control you. But here's the thing, none of this is about being perfect. It's not about never feeling anger again or always staying calm in every situation. The goal is not perfection, but progress. It's about getting better every day at managing your emotions and choosing peace over chaos. It's about building the muscle of emotional intelligence so that when life throws you a curveball, you can respond with grace and composure instead of frustration and anger. And one of the best ways to continue making progress is by embracing the power of habit. If you want to stop getting angry or bothered by others, you have to make emotional control a habit. You have to consistently practice the tools we've discussed until they become second nature. Now, I know that habits don't form overnight. It takes time, consistency, and patience. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and have everything figured out. But if you make a conscious decision to practice these strategies every single day, they will become ingrained in your mind and in your behavior. Start small. Maybe today you'll focus on practicing gratitude for 5 minutes. Tomorrow you'll work on recognizing your emotional triggers and pausing before reacting. As you continue building these habits, you'll notice that you're becoming more aware of your emotions and more intentional about how you respond to them. Self-compassion is another crucial piece of the puzzle. As you practice these tools and strategies, there will be times when you slip up. There will be moments when you get angry, frustrated, or upset. And in those moments, it's easy to fall into a negative spiral of self-criticism. But here's the thing, you are human. No one is perfect, and no one gets it right all the time. So, when you slip up, don't beat yourself up. Instead, practice self-compassion. Acknowledge that you made a mistake, and then remind yourself that you can do better next time. Be kind to yourself, just as you would be to a friend who's going through a tough time. Self-compassion is a powerful tool for emotional growth because it helps you bounce back from setbacks and continue on your path to emotional mastery. Another way to reinforce your emotional intelligence is through mindful reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect on how you handled your emotions throughout the day. Did you stay calm in challenging situations? Did you respond with patience and understanding? Were there moments where you let your emotions get the best of you? Reflecting on your experiences gives you the opportunity to learn from them and make improvements moving forward. When you take time to reflect, you can pinpoint areas where you need to improve, and you can celebrate the moments when you handled your emotions with grace and composure. Reflection is a great way to stay accountable to your emotional goals and to track your progress over time. I also want to emphasize the importance of surrounding yourself with the right influences. You've heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and this couldn't be more true when it comes to emotional control. The people you surround yourself with can have a major impact on how you feel and how you respond to situations. If you're constantly around people who are negative, toxic, or quick to anger, it will be much harder for you to stay calm and centered. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who are emotionally intelligent, optimistic, and supportive, you'll naturally start to adopt those same qualities. This doesn't mean you should cut people out of your life, but it does mean that you should be intentional about the people you allow to influence you. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you to be better, and who uplift your energy. The right support system can make all the difference in your ability to manage your emotions and stay calm in difficult situations. Now, I want to talk about the power of detachment. This is a crucial concept when it comes to emotional mastery. Detachment is the ability to stay emotionally neutral, even in the face of challenging situations. It's not about not caring, it's about not letting other people's actions or opinions dictate how you feel. Detachment allows you to step back and see things from a bigger perspective. It helps you realize that the things people say or do are a reflection of them, not of you. When you detach emotionally, you stop taking things personally, and you stop allowing other people's actions to trigger anger or frustration in you. For example, if someone criticizes you, instead of getting defensive or angry, you can take a step back and think, this is their perspective, and it doesn't have to affect me. You can choose to listen, learn, or simply walk away without letting their words disturb your peace. Detachment is not about being cold or indifferent, it's about choosing not to let negativity affect your emotional state. Another powerful practice that complements detachment is acceptance. Acceptance is the ability to acknowledge situations for what they are without trying to change them or control them. When you accept things as they are, you stop resisting and start flowing with life. Resistance is one of the biggest causes of anger and frustration, because when we resist what's happening around us, we fight against the natural course of things. But when we accept what is, we find peace. For example, when something unexpected happens, maybe a delay, a mistake, or a setback, instead of getting angry or upset, you can simply say, okay, this is what's happening right now, and I can handle it. Acceptance takes the power away from a situation because you stop seeing it as something that's strong or unfair. You begin to see it as part of life's natural ebb and flow, and you learn to navigate it with ease. And finally, let's talk about the long-term benefits of emotional mastery. While emotional control may seem like a personal journey, it has a profound impact on your relationships, your career, and your overall happiness. When you master your emotions, you become a magnet for positivity. People are drawn to those who are calm, collected, and emotionally intelligent. In relationships, emotional mastery leads to deeper connections because you're able to communicate effectively, understand others, and handle conflicts in a healthy way. In your career, it makes you a better leader, a better teammate, and someone who can handle stress with grace. Emotional intelligence is one of the most valuable skills you can cultivate, and it will serve you in every area of your life. When you choose emotional control, you're choosing a life of freedom from anger, stress, and frustration. You're choosing a life of peace, joy, and resilience. And as you continue to practice these strategies, you'll find that your ability to stay calm and centered will become stronger and more automatic. With all of this in mind, remember, emotional mastery is not a destination, it's a lifelong journey. There will always be moments of challenge, moments where you feel triggered, moments where you want to react. But as you continue practicing these tools, you'll find that they become more second nature, and you'll experience fewer moments where anger or frustration controls you. Now, as we move into the final part of this journey, take a moment to reflect on the incredible power you have to change your emotional landscape. You are the creator of your emotional reality, and the more you practice these tools, the more you'll step into your power. Now, as we reach the final part of our journey together, it's important to take a step back and reflect on the full picture. Everything we've discussed up to this point has been leading to this moment of clarity. Emotional mastery isn't a what I'm fix. It's not something that you can just learn and be done with. It's a lifelong practice, a journey that you walk every day. But with each step, you'll grow, evolve, and find more peace and joy in your life. When you begin to apply emotional intelligence, it doesn't just change the way you react to situations, it changes the way you live your life. You become more present. You become more aware of your thoughts and feelings. You develop the ability to recognize when something is about to trigger you, and instead of reacting, you can pause, breathe, and choose your response. And that's power. That's control. That's the freedom to create your own experience rather than letting the external world dictate your emotional state. The more you practice emotional intelligence, the more you realize that you are not your emotions. Emotions are just visitors that come and go, and you have the power to choose which ones you welcome and which ones you send away. But this isn't a passive process. This takes daily intention. This takes the conscious effort to pause when you feel your anger rising, to breathe deeply, and to let that tension release. It takes being honest with yourself about your triggers and doing the work to understand why they affect you the way they do. It takes vulnerability to look within yourself, to confront your inner demons, and to embrace your power to change. Now, let's talk about the power of forgiveness. This is something I cannot stress enough. Holding on to anger or resentment only poisons you. It creates bitterness that lingers in your heart and clouds your ability to think clearly. Forgiveness is the ultimate freedom. When you forgive someone, not only do you let them off the hook, you let yourself off the hook. You're no longer chained to that negative emotion. You free your mind and your heart to move forward in peace. But forgiveness isn't always easy, and sometimes it's not even about the other person. Sometimes forgiveness is about letting go of your own guilt, shame, or self-criticism. It's about accepting that you did the best you could with what you knew at the time, and that you are worthy of love and peace no matter what mistakes you've made. The moment you forgive, you make space for healing and growth. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, and it's an essential part of emotional mastery. Now, one of the things that I really want to emphasize is that emotional intelligence doesn't mean avoiding difficult emotions. It's not about suppressing anger or pretending that everything is always okay. It's about acknowledging those emotions, understanding why they're there, and choosing how to respond to them. Feel the emotion, but don't let it consume you. Let it pass through you and use it as an opportunity for growth. There's a quote I love from the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, who said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Your emotions are a direct reflection of your thoughts, and by changing the way you think, you can change the way you feel. That's why optimism is so important. When you look at a challenging situation with a positive, solutions-focused mindset, you immediately shift the energy around you. Instead of focusing on what's going wrong, you start focusing on what's going right. And in every situation, there's something you can be grateful for. This is where grit and resilience come in. Life will always throw curveballs at us. There will always be challenges, obstacles, and people who try to bring us down. But it's not what happens to us that matters, it's how we respond to it. Resilience is the ability to bounce back, to stand up stronger after each setback, and to keep moving forward with unwavering belief in yourself. And when you combine that with emotional intelligence, you become unstoppable. Remember that emotional intelligence isn't just a tool for handling anger. It's a tool for creating a life of abundance and fulfillment. It's about taking responsibility for your emotional well-being and not letting external circumstances dictate your inner peace. As you develop emotional intelligence, you start to understand that you are the creator of your experience, and your ability to remain calm, centered, and in control is the key to unlocking a higher level of happiness and success. And the beauty of all of this is that it's within your reach. Right now, at this very moment, you have everything you need to start practicing emotional intelligence and mastering your emotions. You don't need to wait for the perfect time or for life to be less stressful. The perfect time is now. It's the small, consistent actions that you take every day that will lead to lasting change. So, what's your next step? What's the one thing you can do today to begin building your emotional intelligence? Maybe it's taking a few deep breaths when you feel triggered. Maybe it's practicing gratitude for 5 minutes every morning. Or maybe it's choosing to forgive someone who's hurt you in the past. Whatever it is, make a commitment to take that first step today. And don't forget that this is a journey, not a destination. You're not going to get everything right all the time. You're going to have setbacks, and that's okay. The important thing is that you're making progress. The important thing is that you're getting better, little by little, day by day. And with each step, you're getting closer to becoming the best version of yourself. As we wrap up this video, I want to leave you with one final thought. Emotional mastery is not about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about choosing peace over chaos, calm over anger, and understanding over judgment. And with emotional intelligence as your guide, you can transform your life in ways you never thought possible. Now that you have the tools and insights to master your emotions, I encourage you to take action. Start today. Practice emotional intelligence, stay mindful of your triggers, and continue to grow into the person you were always meant to be. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to subscribe and like for more motivational content. We are Wisdom Recorder, and we're here to inspire, empower, and help you become the best version of yourself. Stay strong, stay focused, and remember, you've got this.